Angie Martinez IRL Podcast.
Today's guest is a force of creativity, authenticity, and evolution. Kali Uchis is a Grammy-winning singer and songwriter, and she's known for her genre-defying sound and unapologetic self-expression. With roots in Colombia and Virginia, she's built a global fan base by staying true to her unique voice, both musically and personally. Her journey hasn't been easy, but through resilience and vision, she's created a life and career on her own terms. And she's got a new project. It's called Sincerely. It comes out May 9th. And Kali is here today.
Thank you.
Is it weird to hear people talking about you? Talk about you? Or how people perceive you? That's how we perceive you.
Yeah. Well, I love it. It's very nice. It's nice.
If somebody didn't know you and you like dropped on some like little island and they they didn't know you, how would you describe you?
I mean, like for instance, sometimes when I might meet somebody who doesn't know me and they ask about what I do or whatever, I just say I make music.
That's it. I make
music.
music.
Yeah, that's all. I'll just be like, oh yeah, I make music.
I know that this has been a dream for me since you were young to do this. Do you feel like
No, honestly, it wasn't my dream.
Really?
Yeah. For me, like when I was young, my dream was I wanted to be a director. I wanted to make movies. Actually, I thought I was gonna do more so like dedicate my life to helping others, maybe do like volunteer work, Peace Corps. Like that was kind of like the dreams that I had. And then really I started making music because I was trying to like push more in my video direction, and since I loved music so much and I always made music anyway, I was like, oh, I'm gonna just make some music videos because I love to incorporate, mixed media was kind of always my thing. So I was just like, oh, putting music to videos and being able to express myself that way.
That's interesting. So music was secondary at the beginning.
Yeah, it wasn't really what my intention was. Never to be a singer. I was never, it was just something. Songwriting was something that always came natural to me. Making art was always something that I just always naturally did from the start. But my actual dream was I wanted to be a director, and then things just kind of started taking off with the music naturally, and I just kind of
Do you
kept
still
going
have that?
with
Do you
it.
still want to do that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I have a lot of screenplays.
That's like on my bucket list too.
Really, yeah.
I just finished writing I wrote 2 scripts, and one of them is I'm gonna shoot at the end of the summer.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank
you. So exciting.
Because it's always been like my thing. Like even if it's for whatever small group, like it is my goal to create something about creating something from your own head, and then taking it all the way to fruition to the other side. Like come up with it, write it, get the money, and then shoot the shit yourself. There's something so cool about sitting in your room or wherever you write or you create, and then making something and then seeing it all the way without people interfering with your vision and getting and doing something. So to me, that's always been like a bucket list thing. So
absolutely.
I'm doing that this summer. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so exciting.
So I'd imagine for you is a similar kind of thing because you're a writer. You write and now you want to direct and you make music. So I'd imagine you have the same kind of like, I don't know, when you create like that, it's so like inside your own world. Yeah,
I love to be behind the camera. I love to take pictures of other people. I love to take videos of other people. I love like putting videos together, editing videos, and having some type of direction. I have screenplays as well. I'm hoping to get one of those in the works, but
love that.
It's definitely still a dream. Yeah.
You write screenplays too?
Yeah. I've always written stories. Like as long as I can remember, since I was really little, I always wrote songs and stories. So
dope.
Definitely still something.
So where are you at now, like creatively? Like what is the I don't know, what season is this for you in terms of your creative space?
It's actually a weird time because I feel like I'm ready for something new, and I'm just not entirely
there yet.
And sure, like what exactly? Like I want to put my 100% into something because I feel like I'm always splitting myself into so many pieces. Like I'm working on my album, and I'm working on another music project at the same time as my album, and I'm working on Homebody, and I'm working on this, and I'm a new mom, and there's so many different.
By the way, that's enough.
It's huge.
Yeah. We're gonna get to that.
That's the whole thing already, but yeah, splitting myself into so many pieces. So I'm kind of ready to just devote myself to one thing at a time this next season of my life. And I'm kind of, obviously my baby is my number one, but what is the other thing that I'm going to do that's still like this piece of me that I can just do outside of
like your
being a mother? Yeah.
Part of you.
Yeah, which I feel is also really important, like to keep your identity outside of just motherhood, So trying to figure out
that early, because normally people, they got to go into it like a dark place of like, I've lost myself into like motherhood before they go back and find themselves again. But you're like clear of that in the beginning.
I mean, I feel like I definitely went through that too, but I think it wasn't really so much about losing an understanding of like what I wanted to do, because I already had my projects in the works, and I already was like, you know, I already had a good chunk of my album done and whatever. It was more so about just not feeling like myself for a long time.
But your baby, you just had, this is like your baby's a year, right?
Yeah, he's a year old.
Okay, this is, you haven't even fully, they say it takes like a year to even start feeling like yourself again.
Yeah, a lot of people told me even longer, so I'm happy that I have started kind of feeling like myself again, and trying to find, you know, what is next for me. But I'm just really excited that I finally wrapped this album. I'm finally able to close this chapter of my life and kind of move forward into whatever is the next. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna get into all that today.
Yeah.
All of those things. But to go back to motherhood, so it's only been a year. You did you have any type of like postpartum?
Yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah. I think well, luckily Don was very supportive, and so that was really helpful. But I did have
guys
just
don't
kind
always
of,
get that.
No, yeah, I know. I hear a lot of horror stories about that. So I'm grateful that he has always been super supportive. But I also have always had this like strained family relationship, so it did bring up a lot of sad feelings of just like, oh, you know, I cut off a lot of people during my pregnancy, and so just feeling like, you know, a little bit of sadness that I didn't get to share that moment with people that I expected to, or that things couldn't really play out the way I would have wanted. But just, it's such a weird time, because it's like you're so grateful and you feel so blessed and you're so happy. Do you have kids?
I do. I have two. They're much
so
older.
You know,
I have
how
two boys.
feels.
I have one is my son that I gave birth, and I have a stepson that I've helped raise. So but they're older. But I remember that time. I remember when my kid was little, and it's so funny because if you would have asked me a year out like you are right now, if I had postpartum, I'd have said no, I didn't. But then I talked to my friends who know, I have the same best friend since I'm in 3rd grade, so she knows me better than me. But she said to me, she said, no, you absolutely had postpartum. I was like, why do you say that? She's like, you didn't make jokes the same way you would make jokes. You didn't, like, she pointed out all the things that were different in me that I didn't even realize, probably because I was so consumed in, like
taking
you said,
care, learning how to be a mom for the first time is such a big deal.
I didn't realize it at the time, but I think after, I definitely went through a period of like, you're trying to like,
your life completely changes overnight.
Who am I now?
Yeah, and everything changes overnight, and it's like nothing can prepare you for that really. And for me, it was like I felt the most beautiful that I've ever felt when I was pregnant. And then after I gave birth, I was just like, I felt gross. Like I was just like looking at my body, like, you know, you just have this entirely new body. You just popped a baby out of you. So I was just like, it went from a very extreme, like, I just feel so beautiful and so special and I'm glowing, to like, all of a sudden I was like, I just wasn't feeling myself. I wasn't, you know, I was just like, looking at myself in the mirror, like, so how long is this going to take, you know? And I don't know, all of those feelings of just, I don't know, that pressure to snap back really fast.
Did you feel that?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Because I had to be on stage shortly after. I had like a couple of festivals to do, and I just felt like a lot of pressure to get back to my old way, but I couldn't. And I wasn't even necessarily trying, because I'm not like a diet type of person, but it's just weird. It was just weird having a whole new body overnight is what it felt like.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
Was the people put pressure on you, or you putting pressure on yourself?
I think like naturally, sometimes I try to stay away from the internet, but you know, naturally you will see like body shaming, like, and it doesn't matter. They don't care. Like if you just had a baby 5 days ago.
That's wild.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah. I had to do like some type of, I think it was like Latin AMAs or something. And I was like, I thought I looked so snatched because I had just had a baby. So I'm like, for me, like I have body dysmorphia at this point because I was just huge. And so for me, I'm thinking like, I'm so snatched. And then I seen like all these people dragging me, like, you know, like of course men and boys and, you know, like a lot of people like just making comments about like my weight and stuff. And it just, you know, it doesn't feel good, but I was just like,
horrible.
Fuck it.
Were people defending you? Because there had to be
Yeah,
people.
of course. Of course. There's always going to be people that are like, she just had a baby. What the hell's wrong with y'all? But at the same time, it's like, you know, it doesn't feel good. But for me, I was just like, okay, I'm not going to let this pressure get to me. I'm not going to, you know, like Ozempic is all the rage these days. I'm like, I'm not going to do it. No, I just don't. I feel like there's going to be some type of health stuff later maybe for that. And I don't want to play with that type of stuff. Like I have a kid. I don't need to do anything that's going to like potentially make my time here shorter. So it's not ever that serious to me.
Yeah, I get that.
the
I
body
get that.
stuff.
I think it depends on the person. Who, however you feel. But you like to be clean, right?
Yeah,
like
I eat healthy. I try to
Yeah.
eat healthy. Like I went through a process during pregnancy, definitely, where I became like more holistic and more conscious of the stuff that I was putting myself around, and so all of that was definitely a big life changer for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That changed your whole life. But then so then you have the baby. You feeling a little out of sorts. Do you snap? When do you snap out of it? When do you?
I think really just recently I started
Really?
feeling like myself again. I think for a long time I didn't really.
What is the key to that?
I don't know. Maybe it was just, time.
I remember I went back to work after I had my son. I've been on the radio for mad years.
Yeah.
So that place was like, it was like my.
How much time off did you take?
I took a lot of time.
Yeah, good.
So
Good
I
for
took
you.
a lot of time, but then when I went back, it was like I was looking around like the music there was new music out that I hadn't heard yet. So there was new artists. I was like, what are we playing?
You were
What
in the
is this?
you were in the dark for
I
it.
just was like in the dark, weird, and it was so weird. I felt disconnected from my old life.
Yeah.
And so then it took me, I don't remember how long, but I just remember that feeling of being like, trying to like look like I was back, but I still felt very disconnected. Like it was a different universe. Like you feel like you're in a different world. I remember that feeling. So you're doing good considering you're only a year in and you made an album and you're showing up for interviews.
I'm trying, but like I said, I really don't do as much work as my team would like me to do. Because I'm like, you guys, if I have more than 2 things booked for the whole day, for the whole week, that requires me to leave the house without him, I'm like, no, thank you.
You're not happy?
No.
But
yeah.
That takes a confidence.
Yeah. I just feel like it's a lot of studies that show within the first 3 years, it's important for the mom to be as active and, they need their mom.
Really?
The first 1 to 3 years, that's when you're developing the attachment and the secure attachment so they don't have issues later with their relationships with other people or with you or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have the privilege, I worked really hard so that one day when I do become a mom, I didn't even think, I always told myself when I'm pregnant, I'm just going to be completely out of the way. I'm not going to work at all. And I went against what I thought I was going to do. I ended up working it during my pregnancy. So I already, broke my boundary on that. So I just feel like I have to have boundaries with work. And it's really important for me and for Don as well. He make sure that he has boundaries for work. It's really important for us. And everyone's like, oh, because it's y'all's first kid, you're so da-da-da-da-da. Watch when the second one, you're not going to care as much. But we care a lot about, learning to incorporate him into our lifestyle more. And that can be hard because obviously we have kind of a chaotic schedule at times. But for the most part, we try to be at home. We try to have a consistent routine on a day-to-day basis.
How do you do that when you have 2 artists as parents? Like how?
We're both very much, we don't really do too much of the industry stuff, like the celebrity stuff. We don't go to parties. We just work. And so, speaking for myself, I'm very careful about what I choose to do, especially, I already was like that, but especially after my pregnancy, my baby, I'm very, very intentional about, okay, this is worth me being away from my son for 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Coming to do this is worth it. But I'm not going to just be taking every opportunity and taking every chance to leave the house because at the end of the day, I have to weigh in my mind, okay, I'm going to have to I need to get home in time to put my son to bed at least.
Do you hate being away from him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have to bring him with me. If I can't bring him with me somewhere, then I have to do it from home. I do pretty much all of my work from home, or we take him with us wherever we go. Yeah.
He must be so cute. I know you're very private. You don't share.
I'll show you pictures after the interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have made a decision not to share. I just had Ashanti on. She became a new mom too.
Yeah.
And she said the same thing. She's like, I just want to hold on to him for us for as long as possible.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is I think a lot of times once you share things to the internet, it's not just, it's kind of like public property now. And kids aren't public property. And I feel like kids shouldn't. My personal opinion, I don't feel like kids should be online, but that's just my take.
People don't talk a lot about the co-parenting. I don't know, when you're young and you're a young girl, they're always like, find a good partner, a good husband. But they don't talk about find a good co-parent. Somebody that parents like you or somebody that you want to parent the same. Because that could cause a lot of problems for people if you, if you're I want to be with them all the time and your partner is they need to know what it feels like to be alone. Independent or whatever. Like,
or if we had different ideas about posting, like let's say Don wanted to post him and I didn't, that would have caused an issue. But we feel the same way about a lot of things. We share a lot of the same values and a lot of the same core principles of the type of parenting that we have. So that really hasn't been an issue.
That's good.
Thankfully,
so you chose well. You chose good then. Not everybody does that.
Yeah.
So how has this affected the music? Like, I don't know, does it change when you're creating and what the music sounds like?
I would say the only thing that really has changed is that I am able to feel deeper. I'm more in touch, I feel like, with my emotions than ever. And I think, honestly, before my baby, there was a lot of times where I was thinking of just like giving up, or I didn't even want to do this anymore.
Really? Why?
Yeah. I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel happy a lot of times. I felt like I was going through the motions. I felt like like I really started doing this because it was a passion, and then I felt like a lot of the fun was taken out of it. And I was like, why am I doing something that it's not fun anymore? This isn't fun for me anymore. Like it went too far. Right. Because kind of like how I told you, I didn't even expect for things to get that far.
Did you feel not in control of it? Like
I think like the pressure of people like wanting me to become bigger, wanting me to become like some type of pop star, or like wanting things to like now having to think about like selling. Like I hate selling things, and I really don't. That's why like after this, that's why I told you like I'm in a place where I'm like trying to figure out what am I going to dedicate myself to after this besides my son, because I'm just kind of already just kind of like the whole idea of like just having to like sell and promote something is kind of like,
oh my God, what sign are you? Cancer, right?
I'm a Cancer. Yeah.
No, I feel you. I hate sell.
Really don't.
It's so hard because it's like you have to. It's almost like cheapening what
I just
you make.
love to make art.
Yes.
Yeah, I just love to make music. And I think that, all of the pressures and then like the fandoms and then like the outside people picking you apart and picking your relationship and your family, it's too much, And so I was just like, this isn't fun. But
do you still love making music?
I love making music.
Yeah.
I love making art. I love creating. I love seeing things. I feel like it's just part of who I am.
You don't love the fame of it, I think.
No.
Yeah.
That's my outlet. Like I just naturally, whatever I go through, I feel like it's part of who I am to use my art and whatever it is that I make to kind of get through whatever it is that I'm going through and make some type of beauty out of whatever pain or whatever stress is or whatever. It's like, it's my relief. So, because a lot of people will be like, how you said, like, how did you even find time to finish this album with becoming a new mom, with doing this, with doing that, with doing all the things that you do? And I'm like, honestly, it's just kind of second nature to me. That's part of just who I am. It's like breathing to me. I don't have to think about it so much. It's the least complicated part of my life.
I get that.
Creating.
So it's the creative is supernatural.
Very
it's the
much.
Business and the fame of it that doesn't really sit natural for you, I think.
Yeah, but I definitely had to. That's why I say after I got pregnant and I disconnected myself from the internet because I realized I can't let things control my feelings anymore. Like I have a baby growing inside me. I can't see something that's going to stress me out. I can't give anything that type of power over,
so
like I'm growing a baby. So I was like, I literally can't see anything. So I deleted everything off my phone.
Wow.
I only had Instagram. I turned all my messages off. I turned all my, I couldn't, nobody could reach me type of thing. If somebody, whatever people did, if somebody was disrespectful to me, can't talk to you anymore. Because anybody who could try to make me feel that type of way during the most vulnerable time of my life, pregnancy and postpartum, to me, that was just like a big, no.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So are you back on socials and stuff, or are you?
Yeah. So now, now that we're doing the, so I kept Instagram. Instagram was where I saw the body shaming and stuff. I recently just got TikTok back because of the album, but I'm gonna lose it again. After.
Is it disturbing
after a
your
bit.
soul?
No, it's not. I haven't. I really literally just post and go. Sometimes I'll respond to a couple fans just to show love back.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like, Kali, do lives again, talk to us again more, they feel like I cut them off, and they feel like, oh, did we do something? Is she mad at her fan base or whatever, and I'm like, no, nobody, you guys didn't do anything. It's just like, it's literally just for my mental health. Like at the end of the day, I'm somebody's mom now. I can't be like, I'm too grown to be sitting here like chronically online the way that I used to be. You know what I mean? Like I have way too much other stuff going on, and I have to be like in a good headspace so that I can focus on my child and on the tasks at hand and like stay, eyes on the prize and not be worried about outside noise.
Yeah. What is your relationship like with your fans? Like, how?
I used to talk to them a lot online, right? Like I had Twitter.
Yeah.
I used to do like the little chats with them on Twitter. I used to get on Instagram Live. I used to get on TikTok Live. I used to do all of that stuff. And now I'm trying to just be more creative with the way that I engage with them. Like I'm doing these mailboxes where we leave the mailboxes in different cities and I have like a snippet and they unlock it and they can leave letters for me there, and I'm going to post their letters, and more like, like an OG way of interacting, like kind of like a before social media type of way of how people could interact with their fans. Also, when we announce the tour, then I'm gonna be able to see them in person and stuff more. But
that'll be fun.
I think it's more so like
how are you gonna do a tour? You have to take the baby everywhere, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna have to take the baby on tour.
Yeah, he's gonna come with me. Which he did already for his dad's tour.
He did.
So yeah, but
that's great.
He loved it. He loved just like seeing new things every day and the trucks and the arenas. I'll show you. I'll show you some videos. Yeah, he's adorable.
One is a great age.
Yeah. Yeah, he's beautiful. I'm just like in awe of him every day. Both of us are obsessed with him.
Really?
Yeah, like the first thing we do when we wake up is just play with him, and it's the first thing.
I saw a post that you said it's been a year and how happy you guys were. And
yeah, we are obsessed with him. But
doesn't it make your partnership or your relationship it just bonds you in a different way?
For us it did.
Yeah.
For us it did. I know there's a lot of people, and I have a lot of friends who they experienced the opposite, where they were like, oh, having a baby made them go different directions because they didn't have, they might have had quarrels about parenting or whatever the case may be. For us it did do the opposite. I feel like it brought us closer, thankfully. So
that's amazing. Are you gonna do more?
I do.
Do you want like a big family, like a bunch of kids and stuff?
Yeah, maybe like 2-3 more. We'll see what happens.
Jeez. Yeah. That means it wasn't that. That means
he's just so perfect that we're like, how can we not have some more?
All right. So musically, Sincerely is such a sweet name for an album.
Yeah. You like
it? A good? Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just simple but sweet and honest. It feels like it'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like what is the
Okay, so for
vibes?
me, I felt like a lot of times when I write, I end up writing from kind of a perspective of like I'm really speaking to the person that I'm writing to or whatever, right? So that was kind of one perspective of it. The other perspective was obviously that is the most raw, is the most vulnerable, is the most honest. So I felt like Sincerely, made sense for that. And then lastly, I try to look for kind of clues to know that I'm on the right path. And I was listening to this one Brenda Lee song a lot. And then I listened to this other song by her, and the album was called Sincerely. And I had already named the album Sincerely, but I was like, I didn't even know that she had a song called Sincerely. I always loved that it sounded like nostalgic, like a nostalgic title. And she had one called Sincerely, Brenda Lee. And I was like, I thought, that might be a sign.
Do you believe in that? Like, because I look for them all the time.
Yeah, I do. I do look for signs.
I look for signs all the time. I feel like if we said the same thing at the same time, I feel like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Or if I was just talking about something and somebody says that something, I'm like, I'm sitting exactly where I'm supposed to be. Like I'm on whatever train I'm supposed to be on. I'm sitting like, in the right seat right now.
I feel like there are definitely little clues that will show you that you're going in the right direction. And I pray a lot just to, I don't pray for particular things. I mostly pray for God to guide me in the right direction, keep me on the path that I'm meant to be on. And I feel like when I pray for that, more than I pray for like something particular, I can always just know that I'm,
on the right path,
gonna end up where I need to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the album is dedicated to my mom, and something that was after my mom passed, something pretty much one of the last things that I got left from her was letters that she wrote to me. So that was another reason why I called it that.
Oh, baby, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
How much I don't know. Clearly, it's impacted in terms of like where you are creatively. I'm sure that has had a lot to do with too the challenge of some of the journey of this past year. No, she passed recently, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. So, yeah, she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer while I was pregnant.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. So it was kind of just like.
Were you guys close?
We had actually a year prior just started working on our relationship. We had a pretty strained relationship growing up, but she did always love me. I always loved her, and we always wanted to work on our relationship, and we finally were able to. And then, yeah.
What a blessing that you were able to do that.
Yeah, we were able to do that, and we were able to really, like, you know, something a lot of people from her generation can't do is, like, take accountability and really, like, you know, say that they must. Yeah, she was actually able to be like, you know what, I'm sorry, and I made mistakes, but I love you, and I want to work on things.
Wow.
And so we did. Yeah, we did. And
that
I was
is
really
hard
happy about that. Yeah, it's really hard for them, and that was before her diagnosis. So it's not like she knew that she was running out of time or anything. She just did it on her own accord. So
what a blessing that you're able to have that, because at least you know, some people
don't even get to
have regret about like, gosh, I
don't.
wish I would have.
Yeah, and I definitely still have regrets, just because it's like, you know, a lot of lost time because of everything. But I am really grateful. A lot of people don't get to at least say their goodbyes on good terms, and we got that. And
what was the thing that you learned? Like, what was the thing that you misunderstood about your mom, or that she misunderstood? Like, what was the rift, and like, how did that happen?
Well, I've never talked about really like the reasons behind it, because it's really personal. But I think that's something that I learned that really helped me move past everything, was to understand that my mom really was just she really was a victim. And a lot of women, a lot of girls, I want to say, when I was little, I didn't realize how much my mom was actually going through and how much she was facing and suffering. And I just looked at, you know, my needs because I was a kid. And I think growing up and looking back and realizing how much she actually did go through, and things that I didn't even know that were going on, and why she couldn't necessarily, you know, why I might not have understood why she did certain things or why she allowed certain things to happen. I was able to forgive and accept and move forward and say, you know what, like, you know, she went through a lot. Yeah, she went through a lot. And yeah.
How healing is that when your mom, after all that time, apologizes?
Yeah, it was really great. I'm really proud of her.
Did you receive it right away, or did it take time?
It took time. It did take time. We did talk for a while about everything, and you know, we went back and forth a lot. And
she was here, or she wasn't in Colombia.
Right? Yeah, she was living in Colombia. Yeah, we were doing phone calls actually, but yeah, at the end of everything, before I got pregnant, we were able to mend our relationship. And so, yeah, after I got pregnant, I was just so happy, because I was like, oh, yay, I'm going into this pregnancy, like, with my mother wound healed, you know, like, because I always felt that I did have those wounds, like, and,
wow.
And yeah, thankfully she was able to meet my son, and she was able to spend time with him. And yeah, she was able to get to know him, and we would call with her every day, talk with her every day.
Recent. Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry, baby.
Yeah, it's really recent. Like right before his birthday, basically. So yeah, she almost made it to his first birthday, so she made it longer than she expected. You have a lot of pictures of them together and stuff? Yeah, they have pictures together, and she was really happy that that she was able to do that. And we have scrapbooks for him, so I put her picture big in his scrapbook and wrote something about her there for him, and you know, so you can always remember, at least from that.
And have those moments. Yeah, for sure. Does this show up in the music? I would imagine. You said your music is like...
Yeah, well, it's weird, because I feel like when somebody close to you is sick for that amount of time, you're kind of like grieving them before they're even gone. And obviously I was very much hoping that she was going to make it, but also hurt. Like, it hurts a lot to like see somebody be in and out of the hospital, and like, you know, be on that ride with them, and have to see like them
Process
suffering
of
like
the-
that.
yeah, that's horrible.
It's really hard. And I was pregnant, and so it was just a lot.
That is a lot. No wonder, baby. No wonder you was...
It was a lot. And I was working. So it's like on top of that, it was like all those things going on at once. And I was just like, music was kind of really just my, like I said, like my relief out of you know, the things that I was going through in my daily life, and my way to just kind of escape. And it's actually really weird because the first song on the album was the first song that I wrote when I first started working on the project. And it was before I even knew that I was pregnant. It was before that my mom got her diagnosis or anything. And later when I listened back to the lyrics, it like tied in full circle with what I was going through later that I didn't even realize that I was going to go through later. And it was like the music was what I needed. Because in the lyrics, I talk about stay away from my baby, stay away from my home. At that time, I didn't even know I was going to have a baby. And then I talk about look into the clouds and see a smiling face, and it gives me hope. And now for me, like, that's her.
Oh, baby. Isn't that... You want to give a tissue? Give her a tissue. Just a second. How have you been, like, managing the grief? Are you talking to anybody? Are you, like... I mean, I know you have music, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's a journey. Like, it's a day-by-day journey, you know? Some days are easier than others. But, I feel like, you know, being human hurts. And it hurts because we love, and the things and the people that we love can be taken from us at any time. And for me, I feel like it's important to feel that pain, and like how to get through it is to let yourself feel it. And I feel like so many people have a pain avoidance, and like we live in a society that's very much like, you know, we're just all kind of trying to avoid it.
Or self-medicating in some way.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, I try to just, I'm trying to just like, because it's really hard, you know, I still haven't really talked about it to too many people. Like, only people really close to me know. And because it's just, you know, you try to just be like, oh, everything's okay, I'm fine, you know, everything's cool. But I'm kind of learning now that it's okay to be like, you know what, like, I'm not okay right now, and it sucks, but I'm gonna get through it because I can embrace it rather than just like acting like I'm okay, you know.
I think it's very generous of you too to share this moment of your truth with your fans. You talked about your fans being like, why don't you talk to us or anything? But the truth is, it's like, this is like offering that you're like, this is who I am. This is what I'm feeling right now. There's no, you're like, I don't know. I just feel like you being this vulnerable is almost an offering in a way to let them into, to get to know you and to know your journey. And
yeah, so, I mean, I just have to be honest about where I'm at in my life. And I feel like more than anything, it's just weird to pretend like, you know, to not talk about her when, or to not act like it didn't have such a, you know, it's a big life-altering event, like becoming a mom and losing your mom at the same time. They're both two huge life-altering events, so I really can't pretend that it didn't have an impact on me. You know, also having had a strained relationship for so long, like, that does hurt too, because you do have regrets about, like, the lost time and the what could have been. And I feel like just kind of accepting that and being honest about it. And also I want to talk about a little bit about, like, lung cancer. And my mom wasn't a smoker.
Wow. I know people too who have had lung cancer.
A lot of women, actually women are like more predispositioned to have lung cancer than men because of all the stuff that we expose ourselves to.
This probably has a lot to do with why you're taking care of yourself the way you are.
Yeah, so that was why, like, it was like I became pregnant and my mom was, you know, diagnosed with stage 4. My mom, like, she ate healthy. She didn't smoke. She wasn't really a drinker. She was like the last person that I would have expected to get lung cancer, you know, so.
I hate cancer so much.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's worth talking about because I think a lot of people don't realize, the environmental factors and also all the stuff that we expose ourselves to as women, even with just like everyday stuff that we do, has an impact on us, and it builds up.
How is like this, everything you've learned from this experience of like making amends with your mom and learning she was also a victim and had her own, you know, traumas and things.
Yeah.
How has that that circle informed how you parent, like you as a mom? Like how has...
Yeah. I mean, I parent really different to how my parents parented. And I don't know, it's just, I'm naturally very, very different from them. My mom, it was really hard for her, like, with me growing up, like, it was really hard for her to show love. It was really hard for her to show affection. I'm the opposite. Like, I'm very, very affectionate with my child. I'm always telling him I love him. I'm always giving him kisses. I'm always giving him hugs. And I don't know, it's just naturally there. Like I said, it's like, as a kid, I used to have resentment towards that. Like, you know, why doesn't she treat me like how I see other people's mom, whatever. But then as I grew up, I realized, like, wow, that must have been hard for her. You know, you start having grace when you grow up, and you're like, that must have been hard for her to not be able to express or feel those things, or, you know, to have grown up that way, that she also didn't receive that from her parents, and that's all she knew.
Imagine what her childhood
was
exactly.
Like, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you just learn as you get older to give grace to your parents and to kind of accept things for what they are, and just learn to not continue the cycle and to like break that, you know.
What about your dad?
He grew up really, really differently. So it was hard for him as well, kind of, to understand how to be that, because his parents, like my grandma, she had so many kids, and my dad ended up living in the streets because she couldn't take care of any of them. And my grandpa, I never met him because he was like really abusive. So my dad pretty much lived in the streets since he was really little.
Oh, wow. So he was a tough one.
Yeah, so he, like, from his perspective, you know, everything was like very, he's like, oh,
and he was in Colombia,
you guys
right?
have it easy. Yeah. So they both had really hard childhoods, and so, you know, you try to give grace.
How did you get to be so like loving and artistic and creative? And
I think for me, that I also grew up in a household full of other family members. You know, my sister helped raise me at one point. My aunt helped raise me. It was like I had other people in my life, so it wasn't like I only had them, you know what I mean? But I don't know, I just kind of always been my own person. I'm very different from my siblings as well. And
you got like a little, like God gave you that little creative.
My mom actually told, when we had our conversation where we, like, you know, were able to get past everything, she told me, she was like I should have realized that because she was like, I noticed that you were different from my other kids. Like, you were always more sensitive than them. You were always more empathetic than them. Like, I should have known that you needed more, like, care and love than they did. And she's probably not realizing they needed just as much care and love, but her other kids, they're more like her in the sense where, like, they're very, like,
stern and stoic.
Move forward with everything. They don't really show too much emotion. They kind of just want to, like, get, you know, the pain avoidance, like I said, like, they just kind of like, okay, that's over, leave it in the past, da-da-da. It's very hard.
Was she proud of you? She must have been.
Yeah, she was proud. She was super proud. But she was a very, very simple person. So she wasn't proud for the reasons why, like, maybe other people's parents would have been. Like, she didn't really care too much about
money or
any of this stuff. Yeah, she was more so, like, she was proud that I have a family, and she was proud that things were good with, you know, me and my man, and that my baby is healthy and beautiful, and that my home, and she was proud of those type of things. She didn't really care too much about the other stuff.
The Grammys or anything?
Yeah, no. No.
She wasn't like, wait, let me see the Grammy.
They didn't care too much. No, they didn't care too much about those type of things at all. My mom was just a very simple lady. She likes simple stuff. If I would try to take her shopping, I'll be like, Mom, get this coat, like this expensive, like this. She'd be like, no, that's too much. I can't be walking around with that. No. She always choose like, you know, the most simple, like humble thing that she could choose. She didn't really like flashy stuff or, you know, industry stuff. She wasn't into that.
I'm so happy for you that you had that time with her.
Yeah,
to
me
do
too.
God bless.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
Do you want to get... I feel like this tissue is killing you. Like,
let me get that out of the way. Yeah, I'll just put that back here.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Life is tough, boy.
Yeah.
You're doing amazing considering.
Thank you.
You were like underplaying, like, yeah, you know, I had a little postpartum in my body, but no, baby, you were going through a lot.
Yeah,
like,
that definitely contributed to my postpartum for sure.
Of course, your whole world is different.
Yeah,
of course. But you seem to be okay. Some people that can make people angry.
I want to say that I'm angry. I would just say that some, like how I said, like some days are harder than others. Like some days, I think I just learned how I told you, like, to take it easy on myself. Don't try to do too much. Enjoy my baby. Enjoy the now. Break the generational curses. My mom had to go straight back to work. I don't have to do that. So take advantage of that. I have done enough work that if I want to, I don't have to do anything. I can just sit at home with my baby if I wanted to. I'm choosing to do this stuff because I want to follow through with the project that I've been working on, and, you know... But, you know, when I want to, I can always just pick and choose the things that matter to me most, and I don't have to overextend myself. And
you do have you have this air of like, you're not pressed. Like, you have an air of like, yes, I'm an artist. You know, some artists, you could almost feel how badly they want something. You could always, like, you know, everything they do or how they present themselves is like, you could tell you just have an air of like, you're not pressed about it.
It's funny because I talked to a therapist, and she has other clients who are artists, and she says that too. She's always like, you know, my other artist clients, they always want to talk about like creative issues or issues that they're having breaking through into this or doing that with their job. And she's like, we never talk about she's like, my stuff is like always, like I said, my work, my art, it's the least complicated part of my life. Like, it's the part where I just get to be free, express myself. The other parts of my life are the parts where I'm like, things can get more complicated. But
I love that you're doing therapy. Is that helping you with the grief too?
Yeah, it is. It has been super helpful. I think in general, you know, I believe that everyone should have access to therapy, because I just feel like, you know, everybody's capable to do a little bit of work on themselves. And
what was your, because I feel like everybody, even I could tell you, like, I have like, I love therapy, right? So I do it, even if everything's good in my life, I still do it. Because to me, it's like the 1 hour. You
don't want to only do it when you're in a crisis.
No, sometimes, and I like my therapist, so I think she's smart. So sometimes I just want to bounce an idea or tell her something I did, and I'm like, what do you make of that? And now she knows me, so it's like an easy...
She's kind of like a life coach.
Yeah, like a life coach, basically, like that. But I also have moments in my life where I could be like, oh, I got that from therapy. Oh, I learned this about myself from therapy. Like, the things that a couple of times where I had to pivot in my life is because something was pointed out to me about how I was behaving or doing, and, you know. So I just wonder if you have any of those in your life where something that you learned about yourself in therapy that changed your life.
You know what? I did, but it's really personal. I'm not going to share that one.
That's fine.
But I will say that it was really important for me, like, especially going into becoming a mother. I really just wanted to heal. I didn't want to go into becoming a mother with like these wounds and carry that on into, that was like my biggest fear, was to carry that on into my own motherhood. And
do you feel like you have?
I feel like I have. Yeah, I feel like I definitely am, you know, on my own path and all of that. But, you know, there's always more work to be done. And yeah, I never felt that I had really a woman mentor in my life that I could talk, like how you said that you like to bounce ideas off of her. My therapist, she's a woman too, and she's older than me, so I feel like I can kind of check in with her and be like, is this crazy? Am I being irrational to think this? And she'll kind of like, you know, bounce out. She'll be like, well, maybe because, you know, I've never had a mentor. And I feel like as women, it is important for us to have a woman that we can talk to.
For sure.
That that can kind of give us insight into things that we might not have thought of on our own, you know.
Why do you have no mentors?
I don't know. I've never had one.
Oh my God, you need some.
I know, right?
I don't know. I don't do what you do, but I'm older than you. I'll give you my number if you ever need me.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet. Thank you.
There's not much I haven't seen or been through in this world or business, so if there's ever anything,
I appreciate
just
it.
Extend
Thank you.
that to you, because I'm coming up. I didn't really have too many either. I had a lot of influences.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's dope, but not like in my personal life where I could pick up the phone and be like, is this crazy? People are treating me this way, and I don't like, you know, just the things that we go through and think about.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important.
It's so important. Do you have young people that look to you for that? Because people love you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I've seen like SZA and JT. I feel like there's a community of women.
Yeah. I mean, I have like my friends that, you know, that are also in the industry that make music, that we talk and everything, but I can't burden them with like my life, you know. I'm just that type of person where I don't like to really bother people with my problems. So I'm like, I pay her to be bothered with my problems. So I'm like, okay, I can do it over here. But yeah, part of why I do that is so that I don't have to like go venting to my other friends. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I don't want to like dump that on them. You know, I like to when I hang out with my friends, just be able to have a good time, have fun, relax, like take the edge off. Don't be just like, oh, you know, dropping all my stuff on them and whatnot. You know,
of course. But it's okay sometimes, though, you know.
Yeah, sometimes it is.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
you ever seem like people really connect to you? Like, I don't know, are you like a girl's girl? Like, I feel like
I would say that I am. All of my friends are girls. I'm definitely not one of the guys type of girls. Never been, but yeah, it's nice. It's
what
nice.
is that community though? How does that? Because you have a lot of artist friends too, right?
Yeah.
I'm missing somebody that I was trying to think of it just now that I saw posted something. Summer? Are you friends with Summer?
Yeah, me and Summer are cool. Yeah, we went to dinner the other day. She's a really sweet girl. I keep in touch with all the girls, but you know, everybody has their own life, so you don't want to like bother anybody too much. But it's nice to remember sometimes, like, the love that's out there. Like, we went to Coachella last weekend, and it was just cool because I was like, you know, walking around and everybody would be like, you know, respect, like being super respectful. I love you so much. You're so beautiful. I love your work. And I'm like, oh, there's really so much love out here. Like, everybody was just being very respectful and loving and sweet. And it felt like very genuine. Like, everybody was just being really genuine. And sometimes because I haven't been outside really.
Right, you're like, oh
in
shit,
in
people
that
are
type
nice.
of space. Yeah, in that type of space. Like, I haven't done really shows or anything like that. I just did those couple festivals, but I couldn't speak to anybody like that. So it was nice to kind of in passing with people that are
To feel the love.
you know, and you know, that were kind. So
that's dope.
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing shows and stuff? Are you planning?
yeah, so
you
we're gonna do a tour.
You're gonna announce a tour.
We're gonna announce it after the album, but it's in the works. So
Yay.
that's exciting.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
We have some in real life questions I'm going to ask you.
She answered one of them with prayer.
Yeah, no, that was good, right? She didn't even know that was my in real life question. That's one of my in real life questions.
What is it?
What do you pray for most?
I would say yes. I pray for God to keep me on my path and guide me in the right direction. Ooh.
Way to go, guys.
Not during the prayer.
Right.
God's gonna strike you.
I also I pray, you know, for my family's health. I pray for my baby. The first thing that I always pray for is my baby. And then, you know, the rest of the family, everyone. I pray for the world. I pray for my relationship. I pray over us all the time because obviously in this industry.
Do you pray together?
We do. We pray together.
They say, you know, the family that prays
we
together.
We do pray together. Yeah. I think just finding the balance between how I said, like being able to just silence all of the outside noise and stay focused on, you know, we're just real people.
Yeah. I know you're very protective and private of your relationship.
Yeah.
The same way of your baby, which I totally understand. But what have you learned about yourself in terms of like love or being in a relationship or what that takes, or what have you learned from this relationship?
I would say that I've learned that privacy is really, really important.
Is it because of you're afraid of outside
Yeah, I think
energy?
the main thing is not letting outside noise affect the relationship, because it's especially that, you know, we're both in the public eye, so of course I understand that people naturally like be curious and be, you know, start digging or be inquisitive or start throwing things here and there, and it's like it can just get a little bit, you have to be able to be like, okay, online is not real life. You have to understand that the internet isn't real life, and you have to look at what's in front of you. And like our everyday, like we're regular everyday people, you know, we get up, we play with our son, we go run errands, we go to the park, we do normal stuff on a day-to-day basis. So
but you didn't really grow up in a relation. You didn't grow up with the most like somebody who showed you how to be in a healthy relationship.
Yeah, I never had that example. But I think that, you know, I really don't know pretty much anybody. I don't know really anybody. Maybe I know my friends, one of my friends' parents, they seem like they have a healthy, you know, standing relationship, long-time marriage. But yeah, I never really saw that. And, you know, neither did he. So we're just figuring it out day by day. And the most important thing is, you know, keeping it healthy and keeping it, you know, checking in with each other constantly. I feel like that's the most important thing, really. Besides the balance and that keeping the outside noise in, I think it's checking in with each other. Always, you know, he always checks in with me, make sure I'm okay, how am I feeling, and vice versa. I think as long as two people are doing that and just being like openly communicating, that's the most important part.
That is really important.
Yeah. And then once a baby gets thrown in the mix, obviously, like you got to still find time for the relationship, because baby takes up so much of the time now. So yeah, making sure that we still have those date nights and the time for just us to just, like I said, do normal stuff is super important. Really, really important to us, just having a healthy, normal, balanced relationship.
Look at you being all healthy, doing therapy, healing, parenting with respect.
Trying to balance all of these things. Yeah.
I think you're doing amazing.
Thank you so much.
I think you're doing amazing. I can't wait to hear this new music, because your music doesn't stay in one pocket.
Yeah, no.
This is your third English album.
Yeah. But I would say it's my most cohesive body of work. I would say that.
What do you mean?
In the sense that the songs all kind of fit more thematically. They kind of fit more one tone and musically. Versus like Orquídeas, for instance, it was like, so, you know, it was so many different genres. There was reggaeton, there was a bolero, there was, you know, all types of different sounds. And then this one, it feels a lot more cohesive.
Is there anything Spanish on there?
There isn't, but on the deluxe there is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the deluxe there's some Spanish songs.
Do you feel more comfortable in which pocket?
I think I wouldn't say I'm more comfortable in either one, but I would say that I do feel that writing in English versus writing in Spanish, I kind of take on a different energy, I will say.
Really?
Yeah, I would say that, yeah. But it's the same as if we were to be doing this interview in Spanish, it would have a different energy.
You would be so mad at me because my Spanish is so bad.
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible.
But I feel like people speak Spanish in New York.
They do. We speak Spanglish. We speak New Yorican.
Out here, nobody wants to speak Spanish, and that's why it's so hard to stay consistent
people do speak
with
Spanish.
it.
My Spanish is just bad.
Okay.
But I understand taking a different energy, because it's so funny. My friends just make fun of me because when I grew up in an English-speaking house, everybody know how to speak Spanish, but they spoke English to me, so it wasn't a natural thing for me to speak Spanish. But the only person that spoke Spanish to me was my great-grandfather, right? So as I started getting older, every time I would try to talk Spanish, or I was forced to speak in Spanish, I would put this like persona of like an old man, like my voice would go.
Stop.
No, I swear to God, my friends would be like, "What voice? Where did you go?" Like my voice get deep. I took on like a whole.
You were channeling grandfather. That's funny.
I was channeling abuelo.
Yeah, that's
so
hilarious.
Funny. Will your son know Spanish, or will you teach him?
Yeah, he already knows Spanish.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he does fully. He's
already
bilingual.
blowing past me.
He's fully bilingual. Yeah, yeah. Most of his books is like Spanish and English books.
Really?
Yeah, he learns everything.
So
Both
cute.
words. When I teach him something, I'll be like, carro, car, horse, caballo. It's always like the both of the words. So
Amazing. What a
Yeah.
lucky kid.
yeah, he's so smart.
I would imagine that people try to put you in a box with that too, because there's so much like, you look at the success of Bad Bunny and just Latin music globally now and what it's doing, and they see you and they're like, oh, she should, whatever the thing is. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like people probably have expectations or what they think you should be at all times.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely always been something that's been hard for people to understand. I think duality in general is hard for people to wrap their heads around because there's really nobody else doing it like me. Like, there just isn't.
Talk that shit. Talk that
there's
shit,
nobody
Kali.
making an English album and a Spanish album and they're just completely it's like if people make a Spanish album, it's like a Spanish version of an English album or vice versa.
Yeah.
It's nobody who is having that duality. Is nobody. So it's like from the beginning of when I started making music, I think there was a lot of confusion and gray area around like, so what is she? Is she Colombian? Is she American? They don't understand that you can be both.
Both. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Did you always feel like both? Or do you ever feel like
Yeah,
a disconnect from one side of
I
yourself?
definitely always felt both. It wasn't until I started realizing like people had such a problem with that I was like, oh, like what? Like, am I like, no, I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think just, embracing who you are and not letting yourself get, I think people just kind of want to wash out, who we are a lot so that we can fit into one box.
They want to package you.
Yeah, and for me, it's always been so important to just stay true to who I am and don't let any of the, the this and the that, whether it be people in the industry, whether it be people that just online, whatever, mad or whatever, to make me feel like I have to just stay to one thing. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be doing both. Even when so my first full-length album, Isolation, it was in English, but it had a song in Spanish on it. So then people knew me for that. And then when I did Sin Miedo, there was some English fans that were like mad because they're like, what is she doing? She's supposed to do something like Isolation, And then, they were like, oh, she's trying to cater to like a Latin audience now because whatever, like, coming up with all this stuff. And it's like, no, actually I can just do both. And so I will. And then when I came out my next album in English, then it's like, oh, but we want, it's like there's just always both sides of the table. And it's always going to be people asking for one or the other. We like this better, we like that better. But the thing is, when you can do more than one thing, I just feel like there's, like, God gave me that for a reason. God didn't give me my duality for no reason. God didn't make me bicultural for no reason or bilingual for no reason. Why should I only do one? Why should I only do Spanish? Why should I only do English when I can do both?
Yeah.
To me, that would be an insult to God because it's like I was given that and I was born that way. And not everybody can do it.
Yes. That is the one thing, right? Like, whoever you are, whatever he gives you, you're supposed to honor that. You're not supposed to.
And when I started making Spanglish music, everybody was like, what the hell is this? Why is she doing Spanglish music? Because I started that from my first album. I did a remix of one of the songs, Tyrant. I did Tirano. I did Nuestro Planeta, whatever. I was doing little things here and there. And everybody was like, this isn't going to go, sweetie, because the Spanglish music stuff is not a thing. And then now everybody's doing Spanglish
now
music.
It's the thing.
So it's like, I don't know. I'm just very adamant to other young artists on like, do you, be you, do what you want to do. There's a lot of, for instance, like Latinos in the United States that just make music, Spanish-speaking music, because they feel that they can't excel or succeed in an Anglo market because they're Latino or whatever. And they've come to me and they've said like, how do you, I want to be able to make an English album too, but my label tells me I have to just keep going with the Spanish music or whatever the case. And I just always tell people like, just do what you want to do. Yeah, just do what you want to do because you're whoever your team or your whatever it is, whatever person is telling you to stick to just one thing. I think, it's their job to think about how something is going to be marketable, profitable, whatever. It's your job to be an artist. So, yeah. Be an artist. Yeah, exactly. Just be creative and do what you want.
I think you got to also honor, like, I don't know, I think creativity is like a gift, right? So
absolutely.
It's like if you have this ability and you've given this stuff, it's like you have to honor what it is and not try to be like, okay, let me take it and package it. One of my favorite Quincy Jones things, quotes, he did an interview and he said that he would not like people in the room that were talking about money, because he said as soon as you start talking about money in the studio, God walks out.
Yeah, or people that are immediately in the studio like, all right, we got to make this number one, we got to make this hit, we got to make this whatever. I think as soon as you just put yourself in that headspace, it's all being done for the wrong reasons. Yeah.
It's tainted for sure. All right, let's go our real life questions.
Okay.
Ready? In real life, how happy are you? Right
like on
now?
a scale?
On a scale of 1 to 10. Yes. We ask that every episode.
I would say I'm pretty happy. I would say generally speaking, I would say I'm on an 8.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
That's
pretty
amazing.
happy. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Wrap it up. After the up and down year and everything, the fact that you could find that happiness in your life is amazing.
Yeah, I would say I'm still happy.
Every day?
Like I said, some days are better than others. Some days are easier than others. But at the end of the day, I'm still grateful. Like, I'm really grateful. My life really could have took a turn for the worst. I could be in a way worse place than I am today. So I always have to be, at the end of the day, happy for that and happy for my son. If it wasn't for my son, that number would probably be like a 2. You know what I'm saying? Aww. So my son definitely is my main source of happiness.
In real life, what was the last time you cried from gratitude?
Ooh. Well, my son's birthday, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Tears?
Yeah.
Just because he was 1?
Yeah, just happy that he made it to 1. You know, not everybody makes it to 1.
That's so
just happy.
cute.
Yeah.
How often do you think about your legacy?
I can't say that it's never crossed my mind, but it's not something that I think about often. I guess is the best way to answer
What would you like that to be, or what do you think that is going to be? Like,
I think I would just like to be remembered for my work, my art, being kind to others, being a good person, being honest, being a badass bitch. You know.
Let's clap it up for that too.
You know, things of that nature.
Novi.
Things of that nature.
In real life, what is the best and the worst decision you have ever made?
Oh my gosh. I have made so many bad decisions.
Really?
I'm not gonna lie. Yes. Because I've lived, Angie. Like, I've really lived.
Tell me, like, give me some examples. You don't have to go into the deep stories of it.
Can we just leave that in the past?
Okay. Is it relationships mostly? Is it like bad choices, or?
I would say a little bit of both.
Vices, maybe?
I would say both. Yeah. I would say I've made bad decisions all around. I've just always tried to... I would say that I'm somebody who's never been afraid. I can't really think of anything I've ever been afraid of. So I never was scared to do something.
That was wild.
I was always just like, fuck it. But so I just do what I want to do. And I don't really, restrict myself. I in the past, I never had restrictions in regards to like, what will people say? What will people think? How might this affect me later? How might this, I never had that. I just like moved from the heart. And my heart didn't always lead me to the right decisions. But the best decision I ever made was definitely having my baby, even though it's kind of like...
No, it's okay.
Definitely having my baby.
It's so funny because you said one of the things, your legacy being a bad bitch. What makes you feel like a bad bitch? Like, what is when do you feel most like that bitch? Like, when are you in your bag and you feel sexy and you feel
I think
when
when I just put on a little outfit that I like. On a regular day, I dress super tomboy.
Really?
Yeah. People are always surprised because they're like, oh, you're so feminine. But this is just like, when I have something to do, I get super girly. But on a regular day, sometimes I do dress boyish. And I can still feel like a bad bitch. I just have to, put it on. If I put it on, then I'm just like, feeling myself. So
good for you.
Yeah.
We should all feel ourselves.
Yeah, I agree.
In real life, what do you hope people, especially like fans or people even watching this now that are like relating to your story in whatever way, what do you hope people take away from your life?
I I hope people take away, you know, just to be themselves. Like, for me, it makes me really sad that so many people spend their lives not doing or being who they want to be because they're worried about what other people will think, what other people will say about them, how their parents will react, how their significant other, you know, any outside voices that could deter them from living their truth or living their
You've never done
their
that,
best
right?
self. For me, no.
You left the house at 17.
Yeah, I
you
was
wanted to
really
make
young.
music.
I was really young. Well, I got kicked out of the house.
Well, you got kicked out of the house,
Yeah,
right?
I got kicked out of the house. But I, you know, when I left, I never went back. I, you know, was able to find my own way and find my own footing and make my own path in the world. And I think that that's really important because at the end of the day, you have to be happy for you. And when it's your time to go, it's just going to be your time and nobody else's. You're not going to be on your deathbed like, I wish I had worked more, or I wish I had done what. So, you're going to be like, damn, I wish I could spend one last time with so-and-so, or I wish I could, you're going to be thinking about the things that really matter. I try to just, on an everyday basis, remember, that the things that really matter and that a lot of this other stuff actually doesn't hold any value at all. And that's what keeps me grounded on a day-to-day basis. And that's what I hope for other people to start living more like, because I think beautiful. That we lose a lot of our lives in so much noise and so much, outside, bullshit at the end of the day.
What do you want to do what do you want to do before that day? Is there anything on your list, like a bucket list thing or something you want to accomplish in this life?
I do really want to make a movie, but more than anything, I'm just thinking about where to go next. Like, maybe I've been thinking a lot about moving out of the country, taking my family out of the country, just becoming farmers. Like, I want to try a different lifestyle at some point. I don't know exactly when, but I'm just ready for a new lifestyle. And that's something that I really want to experience. I want to experience really just like, waking up somewhere entirely new and figure out where I'm happiest and where it feels like my forever home, and creating that.
So you were saying that you were eating and
I started just getting more
lifestyle.
I started getting more into I don't drink from plastic water bottles anure. I
saw people do that, but I don't understand. So what does it come from?
Okay, so
you filter?
Okay, so the water bottles are supposedly, don't quote me, I'm not a scientist.
Don't sue you, right?
I saw this somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you believe it.
And I believed it.
Yes.
Right? The studies. So they say 80% of your microplastic intake comes from the plastic water bottles, right?
Wow.
So just by cutting out plastic water bottles, you're already saving yourself all those microplastics, which they've been proven to lodge into our brains, get into our bloodstream. We are plastic at this point, right? So all of that has health effects down the line, whatever, la, 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 la. I'm like, okay, I was pregnant at the time. My mom had just got her diagnosis. I'm like, I started getting a little bit,
scared?
Some would say overboard.
Oh.
Some might say cuckoo. But I started getting really I was like, when my son's born, I don't even want him to touch synthetic clothing. I don't, everything that I have is like wool, cashmere, organic cotton. I wouldn't put him in like the little tub because I'm like, it's plastic and the hot water is going to put the plastic in his skin and the this and the that. And I started getting just really, really, all about it. So I started working on this. I started working on this line. I was driving everybody crazy. I started working on this line because it'd be like, if you want to hold my baby, you need to put this organic cotton t-shirt on and you need to take your polyester clothes off. So it was that far. So I'm like, okay, I started working on this line. Everything is just organic, natural, la, la, la. This is in regards to, natural fragrance, because also synthetic fragrance disrupts the hormones. It's not good to be in our air. So this is going for the candle, the clothing.
I tried the cream. It's really nice.
Thank you.
It's not like greasy and it's not, I don't know. It's like a perfect consistency.
And a lot of people got confused because I did do a lip balm. They thought this was going to be like a beauty line, but it's not a beauty line. I actually don't even plan to continue the lip balms. I want to fully go in the direction of like wellness and almost more like home goods, self-care, right? Like this is more like home goods. Do more stuff that's a little bit more, the apparel. It's called Homebody.
Homebody.
Yeah. Get into the apparel. The apparel's about to drop soon. So it's like
And so the apparel will be like
athleisure and loungewear.
Non-synthetic.
It's all organic cotton or organic silk or organic wool, cashmere, like all of that.
Nice.
So that was really just my.
Are you still being cuckoo?
A little bit, but I have calmed down off of it. Now that my baby's bigger, I allow him now to have a couple of, he could play with certain plastic toys that I know are too big that he's not gonna try to chew on them. But I was really crazy about like, I don't want my son chewing on plastic. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want him. It was like certain things that I was just like, only wooden and what's it called? Silicone toys, only this, only that. I was being really, really...
Are you still not drinking water bottles?
I'm still not drinking water bottles. Yeah. No, look, that's my...
Your water jug over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have
what do you do? You filter?
Yeah, so I have a filter water system in my house. And also, for people that can't get a filter water system, if you boil your water, you take a lot of the microplastics out of your water and a lot of the, other stuff out of your water. So
you boil it and then just keep it in the fridge? In like a glass?
Yeah, but I already I have a system. Yes. I have a system in my house. But for people who don't have a system, they can boil their water and that helps the water a bit.
Do you feel different? Like, is your skin different? Is your light, like, since you've been living like this, is there a difference?
I feel like my skin got different after I stopped drinking. I've been sober for, what is it? Almost 3 years now. I think it's 3 years this summer, I believe. So I feel like that was the main thing that started my skin got a lot better.
What caused that? The same thing, or you just? No, that was earlier.
I wanted to see how. Yeah, that was before. That was
you used
actually.
To drink a lot, right? I think I saw you tweet
when I was young. When I was young, I had my little alcoholic phase as a teenager. So yeah, I did that. Had to get my stomach pumped at one point.
Oh no!
Went through all of those type of things.
Drugs too, or just liquor?
No, I was just a weed smoker. I was never into drugs. But yeah, so I really just wanted to see how long I could go with it. I just kind of realized as an adult, I was like, I really don't ever drink because I want to drink. I'm more so drinking because everybody else is like, let's have fun, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, I can have fun without drinking. Like, let's
try this.
Yeah. And so I just went for it and I haven't gone back. And I'm really surprised that I haven't smoked because a lot of times when I smell weed, I will start to, get those little urges. But yeah, no, I've been just fully sober. So
you're high on life right now. You're just loving on your baby.
I'm happy about it. Yeah, exactly. Maybe one day, I'm not opposed to maybe smoking again one day, but I'm kind of just happy.
It might be different for you.
That's what I'm saying. I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And I'm good with the headspace that I'm in.
So where do people get these products? Is this like out?
It's just online right now. We're talking to a lot of different stores that have a lot of interest. But when I go on tour, they're going to be available on tour as well. I'm going to be taking them on tour. So
yay.
Yeah.
Can we have a one time please for Kali?